I want to bring in attorney and legal analyst Rachel Fiset. This is a chilling, troubling case. I'm thinking about those 6 kids right now that belong to this man, James Craig. He waived his right to a preliminary hearing. So in a moment, we'll talk about what's next for him. But based on the texts, the Google searches, the statements from Angela herself as she was feeling ill, and she said she thought she'd been drugged, it seems like prosecutors would have a pretty strong case here.
They appear to have a very strong case, and they wasted no time after her death in charging him. They also have his office saying that he was receiving cyanide into the office and getting the poison that was used to drug her in the office, and saying those were private packages. And I think that that is just damning testimony, particularly when you line it up with everything else that they have as it relates to the witnesses, including his wife's own statements, and the fact that they allege that he drugged her 5 years prior, and he doesn't really deny it in that history either.
Yeah, let's put on the screen some of the text between James Craig and his wife, Angela Craig. Rachel, he said to her, "Have you eaten anything?" She replies, "I had my protein shake and magnesium makes me weird. This is not hungry." He replies, "Are you nauseous?" She says, "No, I feel drugged." And then he goes on to say, "Given our history," and this is what you're alluding to, Rachel, "I know this must be triggering. Just for the record, I didn't drug you. I am super worried, though. You really looked pale before you left." I always like to think about how the defense will play it, because even in cases that seem pretty obvious based on the evidence, the defense has a strategy here. He claims that she was suicidal. Then, in the past, and even now, how will they lean into that in their defense against him or for him?
In the defense of him, I think that what will happen is they will say that she had something to do with this, that she was suicidal, that in the past, I believe the drugging story was that he was going to kill himself and was drugging her so she wouldn't find him. And now that perhaps she knew what to do and she was drugging herself. I think that's what they'll say. In the prosecution, they'll use this text to say, why would you assume that she would be accusing you of drugging her? Why would you immediately say, just for the record, I didn't drug you? That would assume that she thinks she was drugged and that maybe you have a guilty conscience after eating the protein shake. I mean, this is wild.
It is wild, and doctors were having a hard time figuring out why she was slowly dying, what was making her sick. Would an autopsy not show whether or not she had cyanide in her system? Is it not detectable, given that was the Google search he had used?
That I'm not sure. We have to see when they did it, as opposed to when a toxicology report would come out. So, but there is, when people are poisoned to death, it can look like a slow burn in the dying process, because he was drugging her a little bit over time, and had done so a couple weeks earlier. So there's only so much poison your body can take, and it's not necessarily ingested all at once.
It's really sad, and it's even more troubling to think about who might be called to testify. One, and I think a lot of people will be interested in hearing from the alleged girlfriend he was having an affair with. So what's the chances of that? And two, of the kids. I mean, they've got 6 kids in this household, witnessed the relationship, may have seen something. Do you think that they would be called in if this thing goes to trial?
They may be, and they should always have a representative just to make sure that they're feeling safe in giving their testimony. But they will absolutely be questioned, particularly the older children, to show what was happening inside the house. There's also other relatives. I believe she told a sister that was aware of their marital issues. And so I think that this will be a ton of family testimony. But given that this man had poison delivered to his office that he likely used to then kill his wife, he was not particularly careful. So there will be a fair amount of evidence, is my guess, as it all starts.
And that's where you get the first-degree murder, right? Intentional part of this. He waived the right to the preliminary hearing. Real quickly, what's next in court? What should we be watching for?
So the preliminary hearing would have shown the state's evidence against him. And the reason you would waive your right to a preliminary hearing is basically to say, yes, you have probable cause. We're not even going to challenge that. So that's a interesting move there. I think he knows the types of evidence they have against him. And now the discovery process begins. He's entitled to the discovery against him. They will continue to investigate as this case was charged very quickly. So they'll continue to gather evidence and then they will just work their way towards trial.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.